This is a pretty cool sound, and this is the sound that's from my Zen Riffer, which is my keytar-like instrument, and also the one that I used in the Continuum. And we were able to make it sound very realistic because we have a very cool legato mode. If you press this button up here, dun, 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 you can see that we have P, M, and L. If you just tap this, this is poly, mono, and legato. And in legato mode, what happens is as you play on the keyboard, it will go through the waveform and not return to the beginning of the wave or even the envelope until you lift up your finger. So if you hold a note, you'll see that eventually it'll go into the feedback loop. Watch. Here we go. So what's really cool is if you play legato, you can get that effect just to come in. It's very natural. There we go. So, yeah, I spent a long time just programming this so it would really feel right and give you that, that Zen Riffer kind of continuum feel. This sound is called top piano, and the source of this sound is actually my Steinway piano. What I did was I just played an octave and I sampled that, and so when you play one note, that's the octave of my 9-foot Steinway D. And this is Jaja. Bye, Jaji. Thanks for visiting. I had this wild idea when we were creating SampleWiz that I spoke to Kevin about, which was that you should be able to touch the waveform, kind of interact with it, and move your finger any way, left, right, up and down. And Kevin said, oh, I like that, I can program that. So I was like, wow. So we kind of went with that journey. So this next sound is actually going to be played on the wave screen. It's called Touch the Wave. Check it out. So here we are with the touch the wave sound, and you can just touch the wave. What I've done here is with the start, loop, and end point, these little anchors down below, I've highlighted just a small section of the wave. Basically what that means is anywhere I touch will be that amount of space in the waveform. So if I want to hear this little piece here, I can touch it. If I want to hear this part right here, I can touch that. And whatever scale you have programmed will be your vertical grid. So if I want to go like this. So that's pretty cool. And multiple fingers can play on this waveform as well. But check this out. You can touch the wave. You can touch the wave. So I can go backwards. I can go like this. I can have one note playing high and sliding to the left, while one note playing low is sliding to the right. And it gets pretty crazy because you can put all your fingers down. Some real sonic fun. One of the other cool things about making an instrument for the iOS platform and these devices is that you can do things that you've never really been able to do before. With this particular sound I'm going to show next, which is called Tuscany Horn, which is from the Count of Tuscany, one of the Dream Theater tunes, you can use your vertical grid to control amplitude, which is pretty cool. Check it out. So here's what's happening in this patch. If you press down at the bottom of the key, it's going to be very quiet. And as I move my finger up to the top, it's going to get louder, and every note will do that. And it gets very expressive. But what's very special about this instrument and what we can do on this platform is that I can do things like this. Play a couple of notes down here, low on the key, they're quiet, and then maybe play a melody up top and express that this way. Pretty cool stuff. To control that, you actually tap on this button and you can go to this parameter, and you can see some different parameters are on the screen. Your vertical key volume, if it's set to 0, it'll be the maximum amount of expression. If it's set all the way up, then you're basically turning expression off. When I was working on the production of our new album, I did some sampling of James's voice, and it really sounded awesome. And I'm going to use that on my keyboard. But I also took one of the roots and put it into this SampleWiz collection, and I think it sounds really cool. Check it out. There's a company that does some of my very favorite electronic sounds, and they're called Twisted Tools. And what's really fantastic is I was able to strike up a relationship with them to where we put some of their sounds into SampleWiz. And in the future, we can actually release some sets of sounds that you can buy as in-app purchases. That's to come. In this next sound, Jam on the Screen, it's really, really fun. Let's check out what you can do. With this waveform, you see it's pretty long, and I have a small section of it highlighted, which means again that if I press on a spot in the wave, you're only going to hear that much. So I've got 2 octaves in the vertical position, and really what's happening is there's all these wild sounds here. So by putting my finger down in different spots, you can basically be jamming on the screen, which is the idea here. Check it out. Great fun. I also decided to offer you one of my other leads that I use a lot. This is a lead that you've heard me play like at the beginning of Endless Sacrifice, like. And what's really cool about this is notice there's no pitch bend on the screen. All the pitch bend is done with your finger. That's the beauty of this, is that you're in direct control of what's going on with pitch and amplitude. So if I want to do a bend, like let's say, if I want to do a broader one, I want to do vibrato, all I have to do is shake my finger on a note. And notice up here you've got a little lock button. If you didn't want to do that, you could just lock that, and then when you slide on the keyboard, it just locks from note to note. So you have your choice, and I put that there as kind of a big button so you could use it in performance if you want to go. No. And the other thing that's very useful and really important to me for performance is to have octave switches. So if you want to go. Cool. One of my closest friends is Barry Carl, who's got one of the most amazing voices you've ever heard. He was the voice of Carmen Sandiego. And when I embarked on this project, I knew that I really wanted him to be part of it. So there's some things that he created that are inside of SampleWiz, things like this. The third way to play with SampleWiz is on the actual Adsr screen. And that's what I'm going to be showing you now with Barry's sound. Here, check this out. Now you can play in this area. So if I press a note, so the scale that you choose actually is set from left and right. And I decided to leave this as kind of like blank space. I wanted it to be kind of like playing in the black hole or something like that. So you could. And what's really cool is that notice that when you change like the attack time, which is the way the sound will kind of enter, it'll show up in your graphic, but also you'll see like a little indication of the note being played as it attacks and also as it releases. Check this out. Now I'll release it. Watch over here. If I play multiple notes, check this out. Watch. So that's pretty fun as well. Some strings from Metropolis. You can play Beethoven with the Presence of Enemies sound. One of the reasons SampleWiz sounds so good is because I enlisted the support of my friend Chris Martirano. He and I met way back when, the Kurzweil days, when he was the pro products director over there. But Chris does some wonderful things, and I always tease him about being amazing at anything he does. But what he did for us now is he looped all the JR sounds with the help of my faithful assistant, who is actually videoing right now, Mr. Gianluca Trombetta. And there'll be a test in his name later. But check it out. We even managed to get the snarling pig in here, thanks to some nice looping and some nice programming. Oh yeah, good snarling. Check it out really low for the ultra cool clicks. My boys in Israel are a unique bunch, very talented and crazy. Eyal Amir and Ray Livnat, and together they did some really great samples for me, and this is one of them.
Why don't you sample this? 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 Why don't you sample this?
And what's really cool about this is that we have this modern mode. Check it out. Here's the difference. If I did the same thing in classic mode.
Why don't you sample this?
Why don't you sample this? Why don't you sample this? Why don't you sample this?
See how it gets all chipmunky? Well, if you go to modern mode, it's pretty cool. It's a little unpredictable. It's just a new kind of idea we came up with for SampleWiz. But what happens is that instead of getting chipmunky,
Why don't you sample this? Why don't you sample this? Why don't you sample this? Why don't you sample this?
it's actually playing with the formants and the harmonics. So you could play a chord.
Why don't you sample this? 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 Why don't?
So that's pretty cool. EK Inc. consists of two guys, Aaron and Coyle, from Long Island, and they are some providers of sounds for me as well. And they're going to be making some packs that you can buy as in-app purchases. But we have some of the sounds built in, and this is one of them. Check this out. I think they went wild with a kazoo. Special thanks to Jorge Hortal Grandal from Spain for sending me some of his lovely violin tones, like this one. Notice the expression, which is very nice on the violin. Granular mode is a lot of fun. Check it out by going to the granular bells. You see it says load all. When you see that, touch in the middle, go to the sound, and hit load all. And the magic will start right away. This is some kooky stuff. What's happening is you've got held notes. You can see them on the screen. If you touch up here, you can actually visualize what the held notes are. If you want to add another held note, just press the screen. And now you have that note. If you want to get rid of all the held notes, swipe left to cancel. Just go like this. They're all gone. But notice that the hold switch is still on. The little line under the arrow means it's still on. So if you wanted to play a note, now that note is held. If you wanted to go to a different range, you could go down here, maybe press a note down there, maybe press here and play a high note. Maybe even switch to classic mode and play a note in the middle. Maybe one here. Then you got all this stuff going on. And what you can do now is you can resample it. You can press this, and now it means you're going to resample. So when you hit start, it's recording all of that. And when you hit stop, you just can swipe to cancel all the notes, maybe take hold off, and then play like a C, and you'll hear that sound on one note. Now that will surely blow your mind. That will surely blow your mind.
Now that will surely
So there's some very cool stuff going on here in SampleWiz. So as you can see, SampleWiz is very deep. Thanks for hanging out with me and checking it out. I can't hang out any longer because I have to go practice. I've got a world tour coming up. So I'll see you on the road.